Morning, everyone. We'll get started at 8:33 on Tuesday, September 7th. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the Town of New Canaan on Tuesday, September 7th, 8:34 a.m. Okay, we have a addition to the agenda before we start. Hazardous Waste Day. I move we amend the agenda to add this item at the back of your agenda.
Second that.
Nick seconds. All in favor? Kathleen, aye. Okay. All right. This is a hybrid meeting, so we are taking comments both in person and by email. Email should be sent to bosdistribution@newcanaan.ct.gov, and we'll read them in the course of the meeting before the end of the meeting. And then minutes for the last regular meeting on August 17th. Any comments or corrections?
None here.
I have a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Nick moves and Kathleen seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
As I said, public comments may be given. I don't see any members of the public here, but comments can be sent by email. That brings us to the Western Council of Government, Westcott multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. And we have our guest on?
She's on
by phone?
Victoria. Victoria, she's up there. Victoria.
There we go. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
All right. Sorry about that. Post Labor Day technical difficulty here.
Good morning.
Morning.
Are you there?
I think so.
Tucker, why does she come and go?
Victoria, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Zoom keeps it for some reason. Zoom keeps telling me it's picking me up and not picking me up. But if you can hear me, then maybe that's an error in the air.
I guess I would ask the question first. Kathleen submitted some comments to Tucker, which have been forwarded to
Victoria.
Victoria. And perhaps we ought to address those first. I would ask the question though, is this in a format that can be amended at this point, or has this been approved by Westcott and everybody's approved in the same document?
I'm still getting the error. Can you hear me? I just want to make sure.
We can
Yes.
Okay. So
Well, we could hear.
So it has been submitted to it's been through review by Westcott, by the those from the town that have participated in the in the planning meetings, the regional coordinator, the local coordinator. It has been to Demis and to FEMA. So as of right now, it is pretty final. FEMA does allow certain a certain degree of kind of editorial changes, which is what a lot of these are, right? We want to make sure some of these kind of
You're fading in and out, Victoria.
fine. Look, I'm not sure that they're. You hear me still?
Not really, Victoria.
Oh boy. Yeah, the Zoom is locked here. Would it be easier if I called in on my phone?
We don't have that set up.
Well,
She can call the front number, the phone that's up front.
You know what? Let me just log out of Zoom and I'll log right back in.
yeah, why don't you log back in?
Really?
Is she on by?
Just Kevin, if I may, just say that most of the comments that I had submitted or questions that I had submitted, I think were for Tiger specifically. And then just one addition to the resolution, which I think we do have an opportunity to make that amendment to the one whereas that I listed, just citing that the public and committee hearings were held by Westcott. We didn't have our own. And the rest of the resolution, the certificate of adoption, references New Canaan, but not this one particular sentence. So I just suggest that we make reference to the fact that Westcott, in fact, did have their own public hearings on this.
Yeah, so, any of the editorial changes I think can be made, Victoria just indicated.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I didn't hear that. Okay, great. And then can we just confirm, I don't know whether Victoria would know, maybe Tiger would, we had asked this question at the last time that we took a quick look at it. Has Russ Kimes taken a look at this?
Tiger's joining. Tiger, go to the table.
Thanks, Kathleen. We've provided the plan to Russ. And
Okay.
he's in the process of taking a look at it.
Okay. Then also, can I just go through some of the questions while we're waiting for Victoria? Okay, great. So there's obviously lots of reference. I think this is a very appropriate document given the storms we've just been through, particularly Hurricane Ida. Do you have a sense of what the amount of recorded rainfall was for New Canaan for Ida? Because I know that the average was 3.3, I think, in the document. I was just curious.
Ida was
How-
6.25 for us. At
Really?
at the wastewater plant and at the Parks Department. They coincided pretty closely. Yeah, it was actually the greater problem was the intensity for an hour and a half. It was quite intense, and then the rest of it was spread out. But the intensity for that hour and a half was the worst part about it. That brought us in between a 100-year and 200-year storm.
Wow. Okay. So that was one of the questions. I don't know if you want to make reference to that because it does cite kind of the worst case scenario in this document. If you want to add that one reference point, that might be interesting.
Mm-hmm. You can do that.
And then the population, since we have the 2021 census data, maybe you want to just do a quick update there.
I saw that. Yeah.
And then it references the risk manager, who's not the administrative officer. So I just added that. That's Linda, correct?
Well, now that's been changed again.
No.
Still
No. Linda's risk management, and Tom has been hired to assist.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you just saw there's just a bunch of typos. You can just
Saw that.
take a look at those. Yeah.
At one
Okay.
point, it references a robust tree budget versus and then
Adequate.
we have a yes, yeah. At one point it's robust, one point it's adequate, but we can try to clean up the verbiage.
Just to be consistent.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the EOC, it says located on Route 1. Is that supposed to be 106 or 124?
It's supposed 106 and 124.
6 and 124 is one and the same.
They're both
Okay.
one and the same. Yeah. It depends
Right.
on which facet of the state you talk to, but that should be amended.
Okay. And then the one about this reference to Blackboard Connect as our emergency communications thing, hasn't that been switched over to Everbridge?
Yes, at the time we were on Blackboard when we first met with the people from Westcott on the review.
Okay, so that's in about 3 different areas. It mentions Blackboard. Maybe we just make that change.
Mhm.
And what else? Oh, I guess the big question, so CHP systems, haven't we already installed those in the wastewater treatment facility, the garage?
They're at the wastewater in the garage. That's correct.
Okay, and the middle school, right?
We're in the process of the schools. Yeah.
Okay, so in the document, it says that we'll get those done by 2026. And so maybe we can update that those are done for the most part.
Yes, we can. I think they put that in there, that's the outside number of the plan 2026. But we at the time we had met, we were further along on our process.
Okay. Well, there's quite a bunch listed action items for 2021. Is that time frame? Are you comfortable with that? And the ones that they have listed that will be done by, I guess, calendar year end 2021? I don't know if you'd had a chance to take a look at those, but there's like 5 or 6.
We'll review those again and make sure that we're comfortable.
Okay, those are pages 38 and 39. They all reference 2021.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll take a look at that.
those are all my questions and comments.
Excellent.
Did we get Victoria back?
I don't know.
She is,
I am here. Are you able to hear me?
yes.
All right, sorry about that. I don't know why Zoom was giving me some trouble. I followed most of that, most of those comments that you all were discussing, and most of those should be no problem to change. That's kind of where I was in the middle of before I got kicked out. All of those editorial changes, updating the EOC and Blackboard and things like that, those are okay to make. If we do change, as some of the bigger points that you just discussed, if we do change any timeframes or any mitigation actions and things like that, we will have to reach out with the FEMA reviewer just to make sure that the plan itself doesn't have to go through a new review process. So if you, if that's something that we wanted to pursue, so changing the timeframes and things like that, while they aren't major changes, we're not making changes directly to the actions and to the strategies. I'm not sure that the timeframe would trigger a new review, I guess is what I should say, but I just wanted to put that out there, that might trigger a new review from FEMA. So that might delay the adoption a few more months, or the finalization for adoption a few more months if it does trigger a new review. So I just wanted to let you know that. Otherwise, all of the editorial things are okay. Changes, correction, spelling errors and things like that, of course.
Why don't we do this? I suggest we modify the motion to approve the Westcott multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan update 2021-2026, subject to review and finalization by the first selectman and the emergency management director.
Okay.
That's fine. And can we just change that one whereas?
Oh yeah,
I mentioned?
that's editorial in my view.
Okay.
I agree with it.
Okay,
But it's-
okay. Thank you.
So I move that motion so that we finalize this
A
subject
second.
for the discussion.
None here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Victoria. We'll
Okay,
follow
thank
up.
you.
Tiger and Russ Kimes will follow up to finalize the editorial changes and any updates on timing as appropriate, and we'll try to avoid going back to FEMA if we can.
Okay, great. Thank you all. Sorry about the technical challenges there.
No problem. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on. Who's got the WAN?
That'd be me, Chris Geiser.
Oh, good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
The sound is much improved.
We're trying our hardest.
I don't know exactly how it works. Are we not talking into that one anymore? We're talking into these mics, both.
Yeah, they feedback.
All right, tell us about the WAN.
All right. First up, we have we're asking for the approval for the request for JKS for $67,778.22 for the Cisco SmartNet. This is an annual. We shop it every year. It pays for all of the phone and voice, the firewalls, the internet routers and gateways, and everything that connects all the buildings together. We feel it's a little high this year. Cisco is going up. They've gone to a subscription based. We knew it was coming. So this is the maximum so far that we had gotten. And we went to our rep and their business partner. So we're hoping this comes down close to 10,000. But right now, and it's been in the budget for it. We knew it was going to be increased. But right now, this is the maximum quote we've gotten. So it should be lower than this, but this is what we may have to pay.
Okay, any questions for Chris?
No.
None here.
Okay, I move we approve this request from IT for JKS Systems LLC for a maximum of $67,778.22 for Cisco SmartNet support services. Do I have a second?
Second here.
Nick seconds for the discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is the next one yours too, Chris?
Yes, the next two are. So the next one is on the agenda 5, the Dell maintenance and support. That's all the maintenance for all the hardware that runs the town, police, fire, EMS services, all of our data, servers, services, everything. So that's an annual contract as well. We get that best price through CDWG, the government entity of CDW. So there's no really beating that price. And again, it's an annual.
Questions?
So why are these coming up all at the same time, Chris?
We do them this time every year so that we spend our budget and then we know what we have going forward for the end of the year.
Got it.
Yeah, normally we're on the first agenda of the year, but we didn't make it this year.
Questions, Kathleen?
I guess just one, Chris. So Dell, is that our primary or desktop computer for all of our town employees?
It's our primary services, servers. The desktops, we don't have desktops any longer. We're all image based.
We
Okay.
own
There's no PCs on the desks.
We own them?
Okay.
We own the dumb terminals?
Yep. Up to date on all the software patches and security as well.
Are those Dell, or is that just the server?
Just the servers.
Okay.
We'll never
Thank
understand this, Kathleen.
I do understand it.
she gets it. Yeah, it's the hub and spoke. Back in the day.
All right, I move we approve this request from IT to enter into a contract with CDWG for $42,382.74 for maintenance support for the Dell EMC server. Second,
Second.
Kathleen seconds. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Kathleen, where are you?
In Croatia.
Wow.
Oh, it seemed like you're just next door.
And your
I am.
internet's great.
I know. Must be the Dell.
Okay,
Oh,
next
no,
item, final item, Chris.
Yes, number 6, the VMware maintenance and support. This is again an annual. This is for the virtual machine software that we use for the remote access, the security. All of the servers run on this. This is the software that runs all of the operating systems that we use around town for police as well, for everyone. And this covers all the patches, the software maintenance, and the security, especially for the remote access, which is bar none. I've got to say, even during the pandemic, it's been very, very positive. A heck of an experience with this product.
Chris, is this all resident in Waveney House or spread out throughout the system, or?
Spread out throughout the system. Yeah, we have it in three locations.
So is this in the hub over at Waveney Care Center?
It's in the hub, it's in town, and it's in a remote site that we use as well, just for tertiary backup.
We're learning more every day. Okay. Any questions? I move we approve this request from IT to help enter into a contract with CDWG for $21,400 for maintenance and support of the VMware server and desktop. Second. Okay. Nick seconds. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Jim Rogers, good morning. You have an IDA story for us, Jim?
Pardon?
You have an IDA story for us?
Not really. We made it through, and it's probably the worst scenario I've seen since I've been living down.
Yeah.
And we had over 4 inches in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And we definitely saw it at the wastewater plant. The 5 Mile River actually got so high that it started to restrict our discharge, so we're getting false readings on our flow meters and such. But we're able to handle it, just barely handle it.
So there's no lasting implications from Ida, Jimmy?
No, we made permit, and right now luckily the facility was designed with an extra carousel, an extra tank, so we're able to divert 1 million gallons into that tank, which really through that hour and a half saved our lives, saved the plant.
There's an article in this morning's paper about other cities and towns that had problems. Stanford had
Oh, I think just about everybody.
everybody, yeah.
We had issues, but
Right.
but we've had issues like that before. We're prepared for it.
What do we have this morning?
We're just looking to purchase miscellaneous parts for our UV system. The amount of $12,437.92. I'm sorry, I should have put in, the vendor is Trojan Technologies. If you wanted to put that, add that in.
Questions?
This is just for, we don't use chlorine for disinfection. We use a UV system at the facility. And the system is 20 years old now, so we're doing extensive repairs on it.
Kathleen, if you haven't taken a tour of the sewer facility, you should.
I will.
We have a separate building for the UV stage, sort of.
System, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
Down here.
You've seen it before?
Just
Seen it before.
one
I'm-
question, Jim.
Certainly.
Sorry, can I just ask a question? So you mentioned that these are for parts to kind of maybe restore or improve it. Is it at some point
Basically rebuilding it.
rebuilding? So you don't see a full replacement needed in, say, the next 3 or 4 years?
We're actually getting prices as to, for the budgets as to how much it costs. We're talking, it could be anywhere from $250,000.
Are these coming out of operating budget or the major maintenance reserve?
This has come out of major maintenance reserve.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I move we approve this request from,
Trojan Technologies is the vendor, which we have to.
Right.
add to it.
from the to purchase from Trojan Technologies miscellaneous parts for the UV system located at the WP Waste Water Pollution Control Facility for an amount not to exceed $12,437.92. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jim, Nick beat you to it, Kathleen.
Okay, that's fine.
Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Have a good day. All right. Long weekend. Good morning, Tiger.
How are you?
I'm good.
So we have two bids from the tree warden. One for his July bid, July 30th bid, and the other is for an August 26th bid. The July bid itself had over, I think it was 18 separate locations, 21 separate locations to do work. We received 3 bids, the lowest bid being Olmsted Tree at $25,645. And then the second one was specifically for Waveney Park. John Howe, Bob, myself, and then the representatives from each tree company walked the area in and around the house, specifically from, say, the parking lots, the northern parking lots, up and around the house to take care of a couple of tree removals, but the majority of it was deadwood pruning and crown cleaning itself. So we received 3 bids there, and the low bid again was Olmsted at $14,850. We recommend that both contracts be awarded to Olmsted. They've done nice work for us in the past, and we'd like to get this work done quickly.
How many trees at Waveney?
Quite a few. So it's basically they were looking at almost every tree throughout the area
Around the house?
around the house. Yeah, we took a tour from the say from the north through to the west, south, and then east. Couple of trees need to come down, but the majority of it was deadwood pruning.
Questions?
When trees fall in the forest, shall we say, at Waveney, we leave them, right? And then we just
Leave them. Yeah,
we leave them. We don't.
it's an ongoing discussion as far as proximity to the trail and whether or not it looks nice or not. If they're close to the trail, a lot of times what we have done is buck them, which is take off all the limbs and
Right.
then cut up the trunks, let the trunks lie on the ground so that they'll decompose. It's depending upon who you ask, opinions vary as to how they want to see that work done.
But the general guidance these days, I
General
think,
guidance
is
if it falls, leave it.
just falls, leave it. As long as it's not impairing
If it's
trail.
impairing the trail, we take it away.
Right.
So,
Questions, Kathleen?
No, thank you.
Okay, so this is two bids, one for 25,645 and the other for 14,850 from Olmsted Tree for various trees. Removal, pruning, and stump removal. Fire second?
Sure, second.
Nick seconds. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Tiger, while we have you, could you just comment on the results of the storm last week in terms of the impact on the town and residents?
As far as trees falling, we didn't have that many that impacted. We had one that impacted residents off of Brookwood Lane. That one was a little problematic in the delay in the response. Whereby we had about 7-8 houses blocked, and it took us quite a long time to get a crew to come help us cut and clear. The majority of the problem we had was the fact that we got, as Jimmy mentioned, we got about 4.2 inches in an inch in an hour and a half, which that puts us anywhere from 100 to a 200-year storm. So we had a lot of residents affected by that. Some that had never been affected before with, say, basement flooding, and others that have had issues in the past that continued forward. Specifically, the Old Stanford Road area, Old Stanford and Jelliff Mill. You can imagine all the water's trying to get down the hill and trying to get to the river itself. The water was cresting over the bridge. We hadn't had that. I think we'd had that one time before. The bridge was designed for that.
Jelliff?
Jelliff itself, yeah. The bridge was designed for that. So you see that's why there's open railing. And the bridge, we took a look at it, and the bridge is fine. Thankfully, we did take a look at every other bridge in town, and every other bridge fared well. We lost some roadway on Turner Hill and down on Valley Road. We repaired those pretty much immediately.
We lost some trails again at Waveney.
We lost some trails at Waveney that we'll have to take a look at. We'll be bringing forward some repair specifically for the trail heading from the house down to Lapham Road. We've got to put in some additional swells or make the swells a little bit deeper.
What do you mean we lost some trails? Like,
Well, you get big ruts from the,
Yeah,
Just-
one
okay.
rut becomes a big
Yeah.
rut, becomes bigger and bigger, right? It's once it starts to concentrate the water,
Right.
it's that's how the Grand Canyon started, right? So sorry, but that's so the
That shows the value of the flexi-pave at Irwin. You know, that you don't have this problem, but when you have trails that are compacted stone, they're going to wash away.
right. We've done a lot of
Yeah.
drainage work in and around the trail system, but it shows the need for a little bit more. So yeah, the majority of it was localized flooding at various homes where we met with the state again about 106 and Jelliff Mill with the need that we need to do something and move forward with that. We've got to look up on Davenport Ridge. We've got some other areas, if I don't mention them here, it's not that we're not looking at them. It's just, there's quite a few.
But no damage to town facilities for those part.
No damage, thankfully, no damage to town facilities or major damage to town facilities. Town hall fared very well. Every other facility fared very well. So in that regard, it was excellent.
Good. Any further questions for Tiger?
No.
Okay, thank you, Tiger.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to Parks Department, Mr. John Howe is here this morning in his shorts. Summer's over.
Good morning.
Morning, John.
I can go through it in as much detail or as little detail, or you want to, what would you like?
I assume these are all in the budget, John.
They're all in budget. They're all in budget. There's money. It's in this current year's budget, capital equipment budget. Backhoe was replacing the one that we took over from the highway when we traded in the one that we had. So it's time for that. The mower, same thing. And turbine blower is an additional turbine blower, which we will use for leaves, grass clipping disbursement, grooming the artificial fields, etc. And then the pickup is a replacement there too.
Questions for John? Kathleen?
Yeah, just one, John and or maybe Linda would know this. So was it over 100,000 that we consider for bonding, or is this not something that we would consider?
50,000? 50 now.
Over
We're looking
50? Okay.
50.
So would this not be part of a bonding? The backhoe? And I guess the turf ground master as well.
Well, we still have to appropriate them. Well, this has been
Okay, so
appropriated. We still have to
just
authorize the contract. This is the purchase contract pursuant to the appropriation.
okay, so we go through this process and then it will come back as a bond offering.
It's already included in the schedule for the bond offerings that
It is,
they
okay.
have to be purchased within a certain period of time, Linda, right?
June by town council.
They were authorized by the council in June.
Yeah, when they did the bond resolution for Parks Department.
Okay,
all these-
so they're already included in the bond
Yeah.
resolution.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Further questions?
None here.
I move we approve this request from Public Works to purchase a John Deere backhoe, a Toro Groundmaster 4100D, a Toro turbine blower, and a Chevy Silverado pickup from Carl Chevrolet for the amount shown on our tablets. Do I have a second?
Second,
Kathleen seconds for the discussion.
None here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Mr. Osman. Tiger, I should have done the hazardous waste day while you're up here, Tiger, but we'll bring you back. We'll bring it back after that.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Bill.
So the first request, I have several on here. Malapham Community Center pump repairs. It's actually add-on of some valves. We did the boilers and stuff last year, and the water flow through the building is moving too quickly with the pumps. And so we want to put these valves in to help diffuse the problem. So what's happening now is that the pumps are drawing too many amperage, too much electrical amperages. So we don't want to burn the pumps up. So we want to put these valves in to control, have some more control over the flow. The engineers worked it out that we had on the project, and this is what they came up with. Are there any questions for that?
Questions about the valves?
None.
You want to take all these together? Want to describe them and then we'll
However you want to do it, you're the boss.
go ahead. Carriage barn.
And then the
Waterproof.
next one is the carriage barn repair. So we're doing some improvements out at the carriage barn, as you know, interior work. We opened up on the walls, we discovered some problems with the mortar deteriorating in the, it's a field stone construction building. And literally the mortar turned to sand, it was pouring into the building. When we opened up, we had to open up the outside of the building. And what we discovered was that a lot of the material backfilled against that building had changed over the years. Back in the 70s, I understand it was backfilled. So it caused a problem, which now is rearing its ugly head. So we had to get, Alden Bailey went out there. They were on the Waveney site. They went over and looked at it with us and were able to make the repair. We had to basically repoint it, everything below grade. And it held up. We had a good test for this rain, as you know, and we stopped the water problems. But it was something that needs to be done, else it'll just get worse over time.
So this has already been done.
It had to be done, yes, sir.
Questions about the repairs at the carriage barn?
Okay.
Firehouse AC replacement.
All right, so we had an ongoing problem all summer long, which I was in discussions with Eversource about, or arguing about, I should say. We had some power droppage over there throughout the summer, and I had Eversource out there and they metered the building and they said there was no problem. And I said there was a problem I was seeing in some of the meter readings we were taking, and then when we eventually ended up happening, we started losing air conditioning compressors. And we replaced them, and finally I was able to capture it on video, on pictures on our meters, got the emergency team out there right away. And they were on a network transformer, which is right in front of Main Street underground. And when there's a problem, it would transfer automatically to another transformer. Then when that heated up, it transferred back to the bad one, and we created a problem. So Eversource won't own any liability within the building, but it did cause this air conditioning unit for the big meeting room to finally just give out. It melted down everything. The air conditioning unit itself has been problematic over years. It's not a new unit by any means. It was 2008, I think it was sold 2007. It's been a challenging room to condition the space, so what we're proposing is to leave the unit in place and just, because it has a heating element to it, we'll leave alone. And we'd like to put the ductless units up on the wall, 2 3-ton ductless units. This way here, they'll have redundancy. Plus, if you have a meeting up there and you need the additional cooling, you'll have it. When you don't, you can just run one unit, so it'll save some energy. And these types of units won't freeze up on you like the traditional ones we have in our homes or the older buildings.
Question.
Funding for this is going to come from my operating at the moment, and I work with Linda on this, and then we will go to the Board of Finance to transfer money from contingency back into my operating, because this is a pretty big hit on my operating. So,
Okay, questions on this item? Kathleen, Nick?
So is this problem going to be fixed, Bill?
yeah, no, yes, we're going to not go back to where it was.
Right.
We're going with a new system that has a little bit more redundancy to it, some control mechanisms. Like I said, it's nice to have the additional BTUs there should you have bigger meetings. When they have 15 or 20 guys up there, you're going to want to run 2 units up there. It gets warm.
Yeah.
And it's their gyms up there also. So,
Right.
and Eversource did fix the problem. They came out when they realized it was a problem. They had quite a good 11 guys out there all at once, electricians, and they spent the night fixing it, and they resolved all the problems. And when they finally came out and they seen what I had on video, they started, okay, believing me, and they actually all of a sudden it was like a real-arm fire, and they got everybody out there right away. And
Good.
So.
Questions on this item, Kathleen?
Nope, thank you.
So I move we approve the request from Public Works for the Lapham Center pumps for valves, the Carriage Barn waterproofing and repairs, and the Firehouse AC replacement, all is described by Bill and is set forth in our tablets as far as the dollar amounts.
Second.
All in favor, or a second for further discussion? All in favor? Kathleen? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you, Bill. That brings us to the Cottage RFP.
So I have the RFP drafted.
Basically the same RFP we went out with 2 years ago.
Yeah, just change the dates.
Change the dates.
Change human services to health department. And that was about it. And we can, after today's discussion or approval, whatever we have to do here, we can get it out in this week's paper.
So the plan is to expose this to the market again and hopefully get some interest in acquiring the Vine Cottage. Any questions for Bill?
So I had a couple questions. One of the things I think we talked about at the last meeting, was there an opportunity to at least review the current strategy in terms of where the town employees are operating from, and whether or not this is something that we should at least consider concurrently as we consider this RFP, or as we issue this RFP, or should we do something first in terms of looking at our space and what's needed, say, in the next 3 to 5 years. And so I just throw that out there as something that I still want to at least review by this body, at least, so that I can get a better understanding of where the space we currently use for our employees and what we expect to be needing in the next, say, 3 to 5 years. So that's number one. Number two was on the RFP itself. There's a reference to the restrictive covenant with respect to maintaining the outside the facility so it's not peeling, et cetera. And we haven't lived by that covenant ourselves. And as I mentioned at the last meeting, and Bill, thank you for Bill sent us an estimate for what scraping and painting would cost in order to update the Vine Cottage. And I wonder whether or not we should consider going ahead and doing that with or without going forward with the RFP. I'm fine with the RFP, but I'm just wondering whether or not it would make some sense. I know I would paint my house before I considered selling it or putting it on the market. So any thoughts about that?
Well, Kathleen, is Cheryl on? Is Cheryl on? As far as the personnel, I think the the health department is there temporarily. There's plenty of room in this building to have them return when the COVID environment ends, which hopefully would be by January. Obviously, anything we look at in terms of a disposition of the building will depend upon our needs through COVID. And I don't foresee, I don't know if Tiger or anybody has any views as to how many employees we're going to hire in the next 3 to 5 years, but you know, but they don't reside in this building. So I don't think there's any expectation of any significant increase of employment in this building. I think we have plenty of space in this building. So the plan is, you know, we don't need that to operate town hall.
So let me ask you this, Kevin, I mean, obviously it's been ideal having the health department in a separate building, certainly given what we currently have in terms of facilities. What if pandemics are more, I hate to say it, but a more regular situation that we have to deal with as a town? Is having that separate facility a benefit? And should we sort of keep that in mind as we think about the next couple of years out?
I don't look at it that way. I think, you know, I think we can reevaluate all this depending upon what kind of proposals we get, because I think disposition of that is going to be dependent upon what the plans are for someone to do something with that. But as far as the need for the space, I think we'll evaluate that at the time we're
Concurrently
at the, yeah, I mean, there's nothing final about this decision on the Vine Cottage. It requires some really good proposals that make sense for the property adjacent to the town hall.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we did this 2 years ago, there's even more reason to do it now with the change in the real estate market. Just to see, I think concurrently is where I go, Kathleen. I think we should just, you know, put it out there, see what we get. We did not get appropriate bids 2 years ago. We may not get them this time. And you know, look, I've said this before. I want, for me, it's the look of Vine Cottage. Whether we end up selling it or keeping it and using it, to me, it's just, you know, those easements with respect to restrictive covenants and stuff as to the exterior are very important to me. I don't like the way it looks now. I mean, I don't know whether it makes sense to put in money, you know.
Well, I think Tiger and I have discussed this, and Bill, you know,
if we don't sell it, we're sure as heck going to paint it.
Yeah, clearly.
I think.
Kathleen, when you and I were on the town council, we turned down the $550,000 proposal. I don't know if that included, have the windows been done, Bill?
No, everything was turned down back in 2017.
A lot of work has to be done on that building by someone to maintain it.
But what's the all-in spend, Bill, to get that property back to?
Well, back then it was, the total was, bid was $387,000.
That's in 2017.
That's for 17. Right now, the paint it was a little different ways of looking at this thing, because we had a price back in 17 to paint it, because that was part of prevailing wages.
But I'm not just talking about painting. I mean, windows, whatever.
6,000 back then. It's right now to paint it.
What else needs to be done though?
2,000.
Remind me. I
Well,
mean, you know.
We had ADA repairs,
Right.
the ramp. We also looked at the facade. Obviously needed some work. The windows were done when we bought the building back in '98. They were replacement windows, and they don't fit the characteristics of the historic community, and they didn't quite fit right. And we got a lot of complaints from staffs over the drafts. The building's a little old, nothing's perfectly square. So when they try to put the new windows in, they want a little smaller, it looks like. So there was a lot of gaps that caused a draft. Because again, they were replacement windows. They were just pulled on one satchel and put those in. The new bid called for actually putting historically correct new windows in. There was porches needed work. Especially this back one here needs a lot of work.
So the overall spend is like 400,000, you think?
Yeah, that's what I had back then. I mean, we can, you know, fine tune things, and, you know, some of it, there was a lot of allowances, and there was some add-ons in there to do a little bit on the interior also, to rip up the carpeting and put some of the carpeting back then because it's original. So,
Well, so
well, the
if I could
total
just say
bond
that,
request was 549. You got to remember though, that was with contingency, and all the extras. That was all in.
Kathleen, keep in mind too, that anybody making a proposal has to make a commitment as to what they're going to improve the building. So that's
I
part of
understand.
it.
So just two things. I mean, there's a lot of sort of incremental things that can be done to improve the exterior and interior of the house. And just, Bill, you submitted the painting proposal. I think that that's reasonably $32,000 just to, repaint the house. I think makes a lot of sense. It also, I don't know, Bill, if you,
Kathleen, that's not on the agenda right now. The only thing on the agenda is the RFP.
for the Vine
And,
Cottage.
personally, and I think our judgment is a waste of money because anybody looking at the building is going to understand what they have to do to make it to their liking. And so painting it, in my view, is a waste of money. And
Okay, well, we can disagree about that. Well, back to the RFP then, and just to your point, Nick, I think a lot of people, if they're considering making a proposal to the RFP, not knowing whether or not the town has any intention of either retaining the house or not, you might not get the best bids if at any time the town can choose not to do something. So
Yeah, but
it's a lot of
Kathleen-
work goes into.
Kathleen, but the Board of Finance and Town Council have pretty much made it clear we don't want excess space. And in my view, that it's still, the presumption is that's excess space. So, I mean, if we can't dispose of the Vine Cottage, we can't dispose of anything. But it's going to depend on what kind of proposals we get. Now, I would hope, given the current strength of the real estate market and the fact that I had high hopes of being adjacent to the Red Cross building, someone would have had a sensible proposal. But someone has to do something with that building too, or we're going to have a problem with that neighbor. So. So anyway, let's just get on with exposing it to the market. All we're doing is asking again for proposals, and if we may learn something from new players, and we'll evaluate depending on the strength of the proposals. I hope we get some good proposals. Yeah, and I hope we by November the pandemic is behind us. I don't think we can assume we're going to live in a pandemic environment going forward. That'd be kind of depressing thought. So let's just move on with the RFP. I think I'm prepared to vote for it. I think Nick's prepared to vote for it. I think we ought to just do it. So where are we in this process? Are we asking questions or any further questions of Bill? I move we approve the request from someone to issue an RFP on the town-owned property known as the Vine Cottage at 61 Main Street, Canaan, Connecticut. Do I have a second?
A second.
Nick, seconds. Further discussion? All in favor?
I'll just feel my further discussion is that I think a lot more work needs to be done on this, but I'll go ahead and do the RFP.
Thank you, Kathleen. All right, all in favor? That's unanimous. Okay, Tiger, come back to the Hazardous Waste Day item we added to the agenda. On September 11th, Saturday, it's going to be busy September 11th.
Yes. Well, thank you for adding the item. We when the contract came through, we had to send it through to our legal department to take a look, and they did a nice job reviewing it and came back late last week with their amendments. So we're looking at entering into a contract for $25,000 for our household hazardous waste day with Clean Harbors. It's part of a consortium of towns, 7 separate municipalities. So each one will house a household hazardous waste day, and then our residents are allowed to go to each one of those municipalities. And then whatever they deposit there, we get charged back for at the time.
How do they keep track of that?
By you actually register when you come in with your licenses.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Interesting.
Then they determine exactly the extent of the materials that you have. That's how you get to the whether it's a household or a half a household, depending upon how much material you're actually bringing in.
Okay.
It's a very busy day down at the garage in the wastewater plant.
Okay, this is $25,000 for September 11th, Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day. Questions for Tiger? I move we approve this request from Public Works to enter into contract with Clean Arbors for $25,000. Second,
Second.
further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiger. Okay. We have a holidays calendar to approve for 2022 as on our tablets. Any? We've reviewed that. I move are we approving this? I move we approve the plan that Tucker put together for the holidays for 2022.
Second here.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Tax overpayments. I didn't take a look myself as to what's on the tablet. I will. Any questions about the tax overpayments? In the amount of $15,628.46. One real estate and 45 motor vehicle. I move we approve the tax overpayments on the tablets.
Second here.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. That brings us to the end of the agenda. I don't really have much by way of comment. COVID, as I indicated last Thursday, our case numbers ticked down, which indicates we're at least stable, and looks like the summer travels are over, hopefully, and maybe. Although I saw the report by Dr. Scott Gottlieb that we're not done with the Delta variant in the Northeast, so we'll take it week by week into September to see where this is going. I don't have any further comments.
None here.
Kathleen from Croatia, any comments?
Yes, just one, actually. This is a public safety comment, and it's just actually been posted to New Canaan moms about a year ago, and it's come up again, and it's something that I actually have experienced myself. This is at the intersection of Canoe Hill Road, Carter Street, and Silvermine. I don't know if you've ever attempted to cross 106 from either Canoe Hill or Carter Street, but there's it's a little nerve-wracking. Some people actually make the right and then make a turn
Tiger,
in the driveway.
it's a state road, so I think the problem is
It's a disaster.
it's a state road.
It's been a disaster.
It
forever.
is.
Yeah, you literally have to, if you're going north on Carter, in order to
Right.
turn onto Canoe Hill, you got to take a right, stop, look at who's coming, and then take a left.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
My father-in-law lives 2 houses out from that intersection, so I know it well.
Are there many accidents there? John? None.
Very few.
It's scary, but not actually dangerous.
That's one of our problems, is the fact that there isn't many. It's sort of like the Main Street, Old Norwalk Farm Road
Right.
intersection, right? It's kind of hairy, a lot of horn beeping, but no accident history. You are correct, though, because you have to, traveling southbound on Canoe Hill, hitting Carter, going across the street, the sight lines are very, very adequate.
Yes, yes, it's going north on Carter.
Right, so
Yeah.
it's coming north or west on Carter, however you want to look at it, northwest on
Should we
Carter.
have more signage to warn people to?
There is quite a bit. We have scalloped back the intersection, the embankment. If you're sitting at the Carter Street facing north, say, looking to the right, we've excavated that embankment back. We've cut the foliage back. Right now, there's quite a large bush at the top that we probably should have trimmed back as well.
Charlie Robinson's.
That's
we've
Charlie's house.
cut the other side. Yeah. We've asked the state multiple times for a four-way stop, and we've been denied. We were denied a stoplight. We were denied four-way stops. We've been denied a lot of work. We did put a proposal in front of them to, in essence, offset the intersection, similar to what you were speaking of, whereby as you came up Carter, you would be a little bit to the west of the intersections. Then you would have to, it would facilitate making the turn to be traveling now eastbound on 106 to be able to take the left-hand turn. But if anyone doing navigating through the intersection, you should be taking a right, queuing up, and then taking a left. Because once you take the right, the sight lines are actually quite adequate at that point in time to make that turn. So we have petitioned the state for that look, and we went back and forth on whether or not they would be acceptable on it, and we never got a resolution. So we can revisit that again and see if we could get a resolution. The idea of a rotary is not a bad idea. It's just a question of expense, whether or not the state would want it. They own the intersection. We don't own the intersection. They own the intersection.
Yeah.
So they would have to be, on board with something of that nature.
It's not a really, really busy intersection at times of day, is it? I mean, I'm
Right. That's the other problem too, is that, that's why that not much has been done on their end, right? Because they look first at accident history. There isn't much at all. That's so first trip, right? So when we had a consultant come in and do an analysis of all of our roads in town, they didn't register that. They actually registered the curve on Main Street by Harrison as being problematic for them, not that area. Interesting,
unlike Weed and Elm, which is a real problem in terms of volume and cries out for a stop sign, which hopefully the police commission will
I spoke to
reconsider.
Michael Galante about that last week, and we were holding off on the traffic counts only because of timing.
Right.
But he's poised, ready to come back in and finish the traffic counts the moment that we think travel patterns are back to normal. Specifically for that.
And the point there, it actually regulates the intersection for people being able to make turns, whereas my perception is that Silver Mine and Carter just doesn't have that much activity that warrants expenditure of money. And so anyway, Kathleen, so I think that's the history of it.
Do you have any other questions?
I certainly know the history. The question is, what's the future?
None.
Well, we can go back and look to this and revisit the idea of the offsetting of the intersection. That mainly was through curbing and striping, very, very low cost initiative. And then we can bring that proposal back to them and see if they'd be in agreement with that.
I mean, the only dangerous part is coming from Carter trying to cross over to, and I would think a sign there that says something.
Take a right before you take a left.
Exactly. Kind of like.
We can look at what that signage would say. They're with the through the MUTCD, the manual and uniform traffic control devices. We can see what we might be able to put there as a guidance, so to speak, to try to help navigate the intersection itself.
Like dangerous intersection or something. I don't know, not dangerous, because that's probably not appropriate,
Well,
but
it's not accurate.
Certain verbiage gets you.
Yeah.
So we'll look to see, but we can certainly
Use caution.
talk to the state
Use
again
caution.
about the
Use caution when, what's the name of the other road? Brushy Ridge? What comes over there?
Canoe Hill.
Canoe
Hill.
Hill,
it's Canoe Hill.
Well, everyone
use caution
is
proceeding to
definitely
Canoe Hill
using,
Road. So.
yeah, everyone is using caution. That's for sure. If there's a way that we can improve that entire, so I look forward to your recommendations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe a flashing, Anyway, we're not going to solve it today. Any further comments, Kathleen,
Nope, that'll do. Thank you.
with that, I think we ought to adjourn at 9:33. It's almost exactly an hour. Okay, Nick seconds, all in favor of adjourning. Have a good trip,
Aye.
Kathleen.
Enjoy,
Thank
Kathleen.
you. Thank you very much. See you soon.